Hello guys, and welcome back to Leah's Lifestyle. Today we're at it with a Rule 1 podcast again with Daniel and Phill Town, and we are number 9, buying for $10 for $5, part 2. Okay, without further ado, let's just jump right into it and listen to what they have to say. I'm really getting into this intro.
Talking about money, investing, Rule 1.
Yeah, money.
Good about what you're doing, trying on earth to figure out what
Money.
Try to do
Money.
it like, if you're going to do investing, why not do it like the best investors in the world?
Yeah, why don't we want to do it like the best?
I know, but it's not
It's
that easy
hard.
because these
It's
guys
very difficult,
obscure
yes.
how to do it in terse, tight, hacked little
In
phrases
terse.
that they think are simple and easy to understand. And I'm going to
Yeah.
give you an example of that. If you
Yeah.
listen to our podcast, you've heard this
Everyone
over
feels
and
that
over
way though, right?
as we unpack
Like,
it.
somehow I'm not.
When it comes to anything, anyone who's an expert in what they do, right, they try and simplify it, but they're such experts in it that like they don't understand that the simplified version is still a very hard to understand and conceptualize and to actually function in when you're that high, when you've been, like Charlie Munger, who's been doing investing since 1970. Like, come on, my guy. Like, most of us I've barely been educating myself on it for the last 5 years. Barely. So, please, I know you think a simple intrinsic value of the velocity of life is an easy sentence to understand, but some of us need you to make it even dumber,
Tired of it, so I hope that everyone isn't tired of it.
I'm
because
not tired of it.
I
I
find
can't
so
tired
makes
of
me
it.
laugh every single time. It's just so joyful in its simplicity.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
yet
we're
it's
going to listen to it again, huh?
packed.
This is
So
9. They're going to
let's
play
hear
it again.
Charlie.
That's
One
so
more time.
hilarious. I love
Charlie
that they keep
Munger.
playing this at the
You
beginning.
see Charlie Munger's an investor, for those of you who have not been listening. And,
For those of
he's
you who have
very
not been
motivated to see-
listening, why would you jump in at number
Second
9
row.
for
And in
this? I don't know
section,
who
he
does
gives
that.
the 4 principles of investing very quickly.
And before we started, Charlie is Warren Buffett's partner at Berkshire Hathaway. And
Like, I
together-
think it's funny, like, to think that people just jump in. Like, who starts a TV show and it's like, you know what? I think I'm going to start on season 2. Season 2, part 4, maybe. Yeah. Episode 4, season 2. No, everyone starts on 1.
formed the most mighty duo of investors in the history of the planet. Charlie's compounded money at over 20% per year for now about 60 years.
Yep.
He's
That
a
is
brilliant
true.
investor, and at the point in time
He
when
just
getting
stepped
started, he was
down.
92-ish,
So crazy to think that.
And
Is he
sharp
still
as
with
it
us?
gets.
He's still with us,
He's
right?
definitely still with us.
He's definitely still. I love this was 10 years ago, and she was like, "He's still with us." Actually, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett were both still around, but I think Charlie died 5 years ago now. I think so, and Warren Buffett just stepped down as CEO from the hedge fund.
Deal in things that we're capable of understanding. And then, once we're over that filter, we have to have a business with some intrinsic characteristics that give it a durable competitive advantage.
A durable
And of
competitive
course,
advantage.
We prefer a management in place with a lot of integrity and talent.
Integrity and talent is
Finally,
good.
No matter how wonderful it is, it's not worth an infinite price.
That's right. We want it on sale.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And gives a margin of safety considering the natural vicissitudes of life.
The natural vicissitudes of life. Like,
And the reason that our ideas have not
like that's what I'm saying. Like, he's trying to simplify this as much as he can, and he's still using these very large words. But I mean, it helps simplify it, right? But nonetheless, like, most people are going to be like, the natural vicissitudes of life. Like, what is he talking about?
read faster is they're too simple. The professional classes can't justify their existence if that's all they have to say. I mean, it's also obvious and so simple. What would they have to do with the rest of the semester?
Well, we can tell you what they can do the rest of the semester. Is try to
Practice.
explain what you just said, Charlie.
Well, we just need a price that makes sense.
Yep, we need
There we
a
go.
person that makes sense.
Let's go home.
We just need, to be capable of understanding. We just need that this thing has intrinsic characteristics of a certain type.
And the thing is like, it's the simple idea is that the price needs to be at a margin of safety. I mean, it needs to be fair, right? But getting it is the hard part. Understanding the math and the where to get all the information from and how to double check it and to make sure you're doing it right. All of that's much more complicated. But the idea is simple. You just need a fair price.
We just need management to have integrity and talent. And we can't pay an infinite price. So I love this little key line. Let me unpack this one. No matter how wonderful the business is, we can't pay an infinite price.
Right.
In other words, those first 3 things are about wonderfulness.
Mm-hmm.
The reason Charlie said that, to put that in context, is that his buddy and partner, Warren, was asked once about whether you can be certain, how much risk is there investing in the stock market? And Buffett said, if you buy a wonderful business when it's on sale, actually what he said was, if you buy a wonderful business at a fair price, you are certain to make money. You just don't know when.
Right.
Now that's an incredible statement.
Because the
considering that
business is wonderful. It
virtually
eventually
the
will
entire
make money.
Financial services industry has come to the conclusion that investing in stocks is risky, and
Right.
that it should be only for people who can take risk of losing that money. Those people should invest in. Could invest
And
in
it
the stock
is
market.
risky for those who are ignorant. It is risky for those who are gambling. It is risky for those who don't know what they're doing. Like, investing is a very risky thing if you don't have the information that you need. And you can do it. You can make it less risky, right? Like King Mold was saying, like, you can invest in a fund. You can make a fund that should do enough for you. Yeah, sure. But that means that you're allowing your money to go into whatever companies. Those companies will be like, that's what you're voting for the future. Who knows what those companies do? Who knows what they're doing with their money? Even if they are making money, like, who knows if they're going to be around for forever, if they're good companies, if they're wonderful companies, or if their CEOs have integrity. You don't know that. And so if you are a thoughtful person with high emotional needs and with high morals and values, like, investing becomes way more complicated and it becomes way more risky. So, you know, don't pay those fund managers. Don't pay the companies that you don't want to see controlling the future. You need to put your money where you want to see the future to be.
But if you have to be certain you're going to have your money down the road, then investing in the stock market is very risky
Mm-hmm.
and could potentially result in you losing your money.
Right.
Here's Buffett going, I do it only when I'm certain I'm going to make money.
Right.
Man, that's such a huge difference, categorically.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sitting here.
You shouldn't be
thinking
wondering.
that out.
Yeah.
That's a tough one
Certainty?
to say certainty
If a
when it
financial-
comes to the
I
stock
wanna be
market.
certain.
If a financial advisor who has a Series 65 license and is licensed to advise you from a
And the thing is if other people that have been value investors, rule one investors, can be certain that they're going to make money, then why can't I? Why do I have to be any different?
investment advisor were to say that, they would lose their license.
Yeah,
That's how
absolutely.
strongly the SEC feels about the risk that you actually take when you put your money in a stock.
Yeah.
Which is
And by
true
the
when
way,
you're fucking
if a financial
ignorant.
advisor were to advise you to put your money into like 5 stocks, all of your money
Mhm.
in 5 stocks,
Right.
you'd probably get accused of malpractice
Right.
by the SEC or FINRA.
Mhm.
So there's a rather strong paradigm out there that says that what Warren Buffett just said right there is not only not true, but it's an absolute damnable lie that could get most people in deep trouble.
Well, I think that's because a lot of people want to believe that
Mm.
and would act on it, and then would lose a lot of money.
People who maybe didn't understand
Right.
what they were doing.
Right.
Right. I think that's true. I think the SEC is performing an actual real service there, a watchdog service, to try to put the bar up a bit so that your average guy doesn't just go out there and think what Warren Buffett's doing is a no-brainer. Even though Warren's partner, Charlie, is busy saying, this is so simple that what would professors do all semester if they were to tell you how simple investing really is? So
Right.
where's reality there? Right?
But it's not just
Charlie's saying it really is that simple.
the thing is like, right, like we've talked about this in the past ones, is like he keeps saying it like that, and the thing is like for stock managers, for like for index fund like managers and stuff, it's not as simple. Like their work performs in a different way than investing really is supposed to function. They are trying to keep a portfolio looking positive. They need green arrows. They need it to look a certain way, whether they're making money or not. And that is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a good retirement. We're looking for continual like growth. We're looking for good businesses. It's a very opposite workload. It's a very opposite mind frame. It's a very opposite perception into the way that you use the stock market compared to like these stock fund managers and the way that they teach you in school. So it's just it's just different. Like their job is different than from what we're trying to obtain.
And if it's that simple, an ordinary person should be able to understand it if you couldn't even go on about it for a semester.
Yeah, I mean,
you see what I'm
I'm
saying?
thinking back, the last 100 years of the market.
Which is so funny because we've been learning this for 3 days for 2 months, 2 to 3 days for every week for 2 months now. How long is a semester? How long is a semester? 4 months, something like that. So I mean, we got another 2 weeks worth of this. The podcast goes for like 300 episodes. I have another book to get through. We have practice shares to do. Like there's so much, like, so really it could be a semester. The thing that Warren Buffett's saying is the idea of it is simplistic. not like the workload behind it. And I think that part is just because he has been an expert for so long that for him, he doesn't have to put in as much time and effort anymore. And I think that's just like the difference, like viewpoint from like where he was and where he started and like how long it's been since then, and like someone who's starting right now, right?
It's true that if you really held your money for an infinite amount of time, you know, conceivably, let's say you hold it for 60 years, you probably could find a point at which your money would be worth more than you originally put in.
Much shorter period than that, actually.
Well, all right.
Sure. In other words, looking at the long period of the market, if you're talking about
assuming you've got 5 specific companies.
Oh, that's different. I thought you were just talking about the market as a whole, like putting money into an index.
Debating if he's correct.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, first thing, the market as an index would have given you, I think, worst case, there's about 25 years where if you put your money in the market and waited 25 years, you finally got your money back.
Right.
After a 25-year period. I think that was 1929 and 1955. I think it was the longest stretch where if you put your money right at the very tippy top of the market, you loaded it up, and then just sat there for the
It'd take 25 years.
25 years. You'd finally have gotten your money back in 1955. Now, most financial advisors would not actually admit that that's what's happened. They like to talk about there's never been more than 8 years. I've been on TV with these guys, and they're just like so
not true.
brainwashed that there's never been a time of any huge
Like right
return
now, it's really
where,
high.
the
You could put
market
your.
didn't give you a good return after, you know.
There's companies right now like Tesla. If you put your money into it, you're not going to see that money back for another 300 years. Right? At the top of Bitcoin, the exact same thing. Hundreds of years to see your money back. And then like people buy out, it drops, and now you're never going to see your money. Ever. So.
8 years or some crazy thing like that. And so you don't have to really worry about long periods of time. That's an absolute crock. I mean, from I think 1900 until 1920, the stock market went, or 1905 to 1920, the stock market went absolutely sideways. The rate of return was zero in the market. 1929 to 1955, you would have had a zero. 1965 to 1983, you would have had a zero.
Damn.
The stock market went nowhere all that period of time.
That is zero.
2010, you would have had a zero. So there's big long periods of time. And the truth of the matter is,
though I wished in 2008 I wasn't a freshman in high school, because I would have loved to be more educated to be able to put in during 2008, 2009, so that way I could be making bank right now. Anyone who was able to like afford to put in during those time periods and was smart enough to do so in the right companies is definitely making bank at this moment.
investing significant amount of money in an index fund, you better be ready for a very significant amount of time to go by and not need that money.
Right.
Because it could be
and you might be
a significant amount of time.
Exactly.
That's the scary part.
That's the scary part. For a lot of money's on the sidelines right now in the market, not in the market because people are coming into retirement, the baby boom generation, and the last thing they want is to put their money in, like many of them did, right. in 2000, and then it drops, or right in 2007, and then it drops. They become wary of this whole generation of putting the money into the market at just the wrong time, almost as if, if I put my money in here, it's going to go down like a brick the moment I do. There's a lot of emotional feeling about that out there, and as a result, people are not participating in the market's moves up because they're afraid of it. Okay, now that's the overall market itself. What Warren Buffett is saying is that I don't care about that. What I care about is that if I know this is a wonderful business, and I know that I can buy it at a really fair price, I don't need a stock market. I don't need somebody out there to tell me what this business is worth and what it's worth every day or every minute. That's a way to go crazy.
Right.
What I need is just a wonderful business that's available on sale, because then I know I'm going to make money. And how's he going to make money? Well, the first way is the business cash flow is going to pay off his original investment. He's going to get his money off the table. And then that business cash flow will continue for many, many years into the future.
Right.
An example of a company that Warren bought like that is See's Candy, which doesn't grow. They raise the price according to roughly what Warren wants to raise the price at every year. Maybe 3 or 4% a year with inflation.
I like how he says it doesn't grow, but it does grow.
On, like that river company does. It just goes on and on and on, and it paid itself off many.
It grows like with, what is that called? It's like Coca-Cola, right? Like at one point you could have bought it for like a Coke for 25 cents, and now you pay like $1 something for them. So that's what I'm trying to say is like it depends. Since everything isn't growing because of inflation. Because of inflation, they have to higher their prices, and they do that, and they get to move with it. Like technically it grows, but what he's saying is it's not growing at a significant form. It's just a really strong, good company that's going to continue being around.
Many years ago, and now it's just throwing cash off that Buffett then reinvests. That's the key to great investing. That's what we really want to
emulate that in the public markets.
Absolutely want to emulate that in the public markets. Now, an example of that in the public markets for Buffett would be Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I love it. I just brought that up.
In a recession.
I didn't guess. I didn't know he was going to say that.
Overall market price, which is great, but he's not thinking of selling it, so he doesn't care what the market price is.
Right.
All he cares about is that this company produces a dividend that he gets in cash, which he can then reinvest, and it also buys back.
Which is interesting. I didn't know that Coca-Cola actually gave out dividends, but it is nice to know that they do that. I also think it's interesting because I'm almost positive, I feel like I've heard in the past, both him and Warren and Charlie Munger say, like, oh, dividends aren't that important. In fact, we would prefer that they don't hand out dividends because we would prefer to know that they're using the money that we gave to them to reinvest into the company to keep growing it. So that's interesting that A, Charlie Munger loves Coca-Cola, and B, that it has dividends, even though I'm almost positive that they've said, like, don't let that, maybe it's more that they say don't let that be the focus on the reason why you're getting a company, like, and that you would prefer it not to, but if it does, it's fine. Maybe that's what they're meaning.
His own stock, which means every year his ownership position goes up without having to do anything. Yeah. And so over a long period of time, Warren now probably receives, on an annual basis, he probably gets 30-40% per year of his original investment in dividends every year. And
30,
every year that
40,
goes up about
damn.
10%. So, I mean, it's this wonderful bond that just pays and pays and pays and pays and pays. So that's why that's what makes buying an individual company at a really great margin of safety price such an intriguing and exciting idea, particularly for people who are afraid of the market.
Right.
It's the solution.
And
to
super
the
easy to be fear
market's
of the
gonna
market.
drop. If you get into a company at such a great price and it's throwing off cash to you in such a great way, you're never going to care what the market price is going to be the rest of your life.
We
Right.
were talking last time about how to figure out what that price is.
Yeah.
Right.
There's the rub.
Ooh.
How do you know? So again, just not to beat a dead horse, but I want you to get it. First, you have to be capable of understanding the business.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to know it has certain intrinsic characteristics which give.
Please beat the dead horse. I feel like this is one thing that, like, you know, people hear it once, and, like, even I've been like that. I'm like, oh, I heard it once, now I understand. But I think that's a really big thing that you keep hearing and you repeat and you memorize and you're able to recall that so you can share it with somebody else. If you hear it and you're like, oh, yeah, sure, and then, like, later you're talking to someone about it and you cannot recall it, you do not have it down enough. You are not confident enough. There is not enough. You have not heard it enough. You have not placed it in your mind. And I think that's a big thing, especially for people who are emotional and, like, struggle with handling their emotions around making these decisions, is the more confident you are, the more that you have this information locked in, the better you will feel when you're actually doing it. And that will keep you from being fearful. That will keep you from making the wrong mistakes. That will keep you from questioning yourself and having to redo things.
A moat. And
Okay.
then it'd be great to have a great management.
I'm
team
actually
as
going to
well,
go
which
back a little bit.
capable of understanding the business.
First, capable
Then
of
you have to
understanding the
know it has
business.
certain intrinsic characteristics which give it a moat.
Intrinsic
And
characteristics
then
that
it'd be
give
great
it
to
a
have a
moat.
great management team that's honest and
A
intelligent.
great
But that
management
moat thing is
team.
critical, and you're not going to know it unless you understand the business. So we come back to the moat. What's the durable competitive advantage? And if that's
Durable
gonna last for a
competitive
long time, then I
advantage is
can
the moat.
figure out the value of this
Yeah.
business based on that cash flow. So let's figure out the value of the business based on cash flow. Let's say that a business is producing
Mm-hmm.
$1 million a year. We'll go back to our
Okay.
Berkshire company. It's producing $1 million a year. in
1
cash
million.
flow coming in. Earnings and cash flow, let's say in this case, are exactly the same. So I've got the cash flow coming in, and it's going to grow at 10% a year
Mm-hmm.
forever. Let's say every year they let me raise the prices by 10% in the National Park Service.
Okay.
With me so far?
Yep.
Yeah, we're talking about a private company again. Why
No,
are we
no,
talking
this
about
company's
No,
public.
this is public
This is public
company. Yeah.
Oh, you
Okay, this is
you
XYZ.
changed it on me.
Sorry, this is XYZ public company. They happen to run river tours in the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
And they make $1 million a year.
Got
after
it.
Tax, and it's growing at 10% a year.
Okay.
With me?
Yep.
All right, cool. Now let's figure out what this thing's worth as a public company. First off, I'm going to do this a little differently than I did the private company thing. I'm going to say
Okay.
I am going to figure out what this should be worth in about 10 years.
Right.
I've got $1 million a year coming in.
Got it.
So if we were doing this on TV,
So what we
put
did
$1 million.
before was we talked about how many years it would take to get your money back.
Right.
Right.
Now you're talking about a different number.
Yep. This is going to be what I call the sticker price.
Sticker price.
The reason the sticker price, is on the window of the car at the new car lot. That's
Yes.
the sticker price. And the reason I call this sticker price is because I want to remind myself never pay sticker. Okay?
Never pay
First, we got to
sticker
figure out what the
price.
sticker price is.
Okay.
So our public company is making $1 million a year, and it's growing it at 10%. That means in 7 years, it's going to be at $2 million a year,
1 mil
right? By the rule of 72.
times
It's growing
10.
at 10%. I divide that into 72. I get 7. So you can run that on an Excel spreadsheet, but it's accurate. In 7 years, right? By the rule of 72, growing it at 10%. That means in 7 years, it's going to be at $2 million a year.
Okay. In 7
By the rule of
years.
72. If it's growing at 10%, I divide that
2
into 72. I
million.
get 7. So you can run that on an Excel spreadsheet, but it's accurate. In 7 years, it will have doubled 1 million to 2 million. Now, we want to look at it in 10 years. That means another 3 years at 10%,
10
only another
years.
half double. So since it's at 2 million, the other half double would be another million. So now we're at $3 million earnings in the 10th year. Okay. That $3 million of earnings will continue to grow into the future, growing,
3
as it
million.
has the last 20, 30 years. It's going to continue growing at about 10% a year. Now,
Right.
we're taking out the bumps, the highs and the lows. Basically just looking at this thing, on average, 10% per year.
Okay.
Forever. It's just the nature of this kind of business. Now, we have $3 million that we're receiving in earnings. We expect to be receiving in earnings in the year 2025. And we have to figure out what we'd be willing to sell that for in the year 2025 if we're a public company.
Got it.
And the answer is if it's growing at 10% a year and it's rock solid, and if the market is good,
Mm-hmm.
we would sell that for $60 million.
Wow.
Explain.
Yes. What I've just done there is apply a multiple
Okay.
called a PE ratio, which we talked
PE
about,
ratio.
on the $3 million.
Okay.
So all public businesses sell for some multiple of their earnings. And the question is just, how do you figure out what the multiple will be? And the answer is, in a bull market, a good stock market,
Mm-hmm.
not a terrible one with catastrophe everywhere, but a good one, which is when we'll sell this. By definition, we're only selling when there's greed in the market. So by definition, we'll sell this in a good market, and we're hoping there'll be a good one in 10 years. So that's kind of the little mindset again. By definition, a company that's public, that's growing at 10% a year,
Okay.
should have a PE ratio of 20.
PE
Now, why do we know that?
of
Because
20.
the average company grows at about 7% a year and has an average PE ratio over
Okay.
the last 140 years of 15.
Got it.
Ta-da! It's just the real world. Prices them like that.
Okay.
And we can go back to why, based on how long it takes to get my money back and all that stuff, but that's basically real world pricing.
Okay.
So we got a 20 PE. That
20
means the
PE.
earnings of the company at 3 million times 20 give us the price, which is
Okay.
60 million. 20 times 3 is 60 million.
So 20
go.
times
That's, by the way, the
3
extent of the
equals
math that you're
60
using.
mil.
So not real math heavy here.
So
figuring out these
it's
values. 60 million bucks.
PE
Okay, so now we know roughly what we sell it
times
for. What would we pay for it today if we're going to sell
price.
it for $60 million in 10
Put
years?
sticker price.
With me still?
Of course.
Okay, so I want to sell it for $60 million in 10 years. Well, what would be a reasonable amount of money to make per year, a reasonable percentage to make per year,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm a reasonable investor, I want a reasonably good rate of return. In other words, a price that
10%,
makes sense.
15%.
Charlie,
Yeah, that's what we need.
what would we, what would a,
We need,
what would,
well, we need a price that makes sense plus margin of safety, right?
yep, but first
Yes.
let's find
We're
the
gonna
price.
do
So
Price.
15.
So a price that makes sense to me.
Oh,
my
for
money,
the
which I've
if
worked
it, they're
hard to earn,
asking 60 mil.
and would understand that there's risk out there, and I could make a mistake, and there could be vicissitudes. I always want to put another S in there. Vicissitudes.
This is
But
dudes.
I want to make, and here's just write
Okay.
down on this. I want to make 15% a year.
I knew it. I
That's
knew it.
what I call my minimum acceptable rate of return. MAR. M-A-R-R. My minimum acceptable rate of return
M-A-R-R
is 15% a year.
15%
So a price that makes
a
sense to
year.
me, what I would consider a fair price for this business,
minimum
would be one that I would pay today
acceptable
and make 15% a year on it, year after year, and end up
rate
and,
of return.
and I would end up selling it for 60 million. Excuse me, I'm saying this wrong. I would pay a certain price for it today, and I would sell it in 10 years for 60 million. And when I do, that would represent 15% a year on whatever I paid for it today.
Wasn't
Okay.
60 million based on 10% a year?
No, 10% a year is the growth rate of the company. This is different entirely.
Yes,
This is the
60
growth rate of the
million.
company, which is a business out there growing at 10%
60 was based on the 20% PE.
a year. What I'm talking about is how much money do I want to make on my money?
Right. How
I want
much
my money
money?
working at 15% a year.
Right.
That's what I want. Now, I could put my money in a bank account. It would make 0.2% per year,
Yep.
which doesn't work for me. I could put it in a
If you get a high yield, you can get 6%.
treasury bill, and I'd get 1% a year. I could put it in a 10-year treasury bond, and I would get 2% a year.
Treasury bonds are at 3 to 4.
It doesn't work for me. I could put it in a 30-year treasury bond, and I could get 3% a year.
Those are at 5 right now.
It doesn't work for me.
How can you make 15% a year from a company that's growing at a rate of 10% a year?
By buying it on sale.
Yes.
Glad you asked.
Yes.
Watch the math.
The margin of
All right.
safety.
This is going to be awesome. You ready? So now I know that if I buy this for a certain number that represents 15% a year,
Right.
compound it over the next 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and sell it for 60 million, I'm going to make that 15%. So let's do the math on that.
Okay.
It turns out that
Producing, it's that based on its value, what you know it's going to produce, you want it to be lower than what they're sell like. So if you know for a fact that they're producing 10%, 15%, like, or if it's actually won't even do 15, if it's 10%, then you want to be able to buy it at a low price when people are fearful or there's an event that the price drops below what it's actually valued at.
it's growing at 10%. I'm going to find a price that makes sense relative to that fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm doing. Let me just do one. Maybe it'll get clearer. To do the math here, we need to know something about compounded annual growth rates.
Compounded
We talked about
annual.
the rule of 72, which
Yes.
gives you compounded annual growth rates by dividing into it the number of years it takes to double your money once.
Right.
Well, you can also divide in the percentage compounded annual growth rate that you want to get.
Okay.
It'll tell you how long it takes to double once. So in this case, I want 15% per year annual growth of my money.
Right.
That's a compounded annual growth rate. So I'm going to divide that into 72, and I'm going to come up with 5 as the number of years it takes to double once.
22 divided by
Now,
15.
if I'm looking at a 10-year time period for this company to go from current earnings today to $3 million in earnings, I'm going to sell it for 20 PE, and I'm going to collect $60 million. I'm looking at 10 years out for that to happen, which is 2 5-year periods.
2 5-year
2 5-year
periods.
periods means whatever I pay today, like say I started with $1, 5 years from now, I would have $2. And 10 years from now, I would have doubled it again. You can see that I've got a relationship between the amount of money I'll have in 4 years at 15% a year, doubling twice, the amount of money I'll have in 10 years if I start with a certain amount of money today. In fact, if I start with $1 today and I double it twice at 15% a year, I'll have $4.
Yes.
Good. Now that means I can divide whatever I'm going to have in 10 years by 4, and I will get how much I should pay for it to get 15% a year. How cool is that? So now I can divide the 60 million by 4, and I get $15 million. That means if I pay $15 million for this company right now, and in 10 years I sell it for $60 million, I will have compounded my $15 million at 15% a year. I will have hit my target. That's a sensible price for this company. $15 million is a sensible price for this company.
15
Based on
million.
a 10% growth rate, based on getting to that value of $60 million in 10 years. I would be willing, as a regular investor, I would be willing to say that that company is worth $15 million today. That's a fair price.
I think I need to go back a little bit. real
Investor,
quick.
I would be willing to say 15% a year. And I get $15 million, how much I should pay for it to get 50. I can divide whatever I'm going to have in 15% a year, I'll have $4. Money I'll have in 10 years. Now I can see that I've got a relationship between the amount of money I'll have in 4 years at 15, I would have 2 5-year periods means, period. Add that to 72 and I'm going to come up with one. We talked about the rule of 72, which
Okay.
gives you compound annual growth rates by dividing into it the
72 compounded growth rates.
number of years it takes to double your money once. Well, you can also divide in the percentage compound annual growth rate that you want to get, and it'll
Okay.
tell you how long it takes to double once.
Right.
So in this case, I want 15%.
Divide in MARR to get what it takes to double once. Okay.
Per year, annual growth of my money. That's a compound annual growth rate. So I'm going to divide that into 72, and I'm going to come up with 5.
Okay.
That's the number of years it takes to double once.
Right. To double once. Okay.
Now, if I'm looking at a 10-year time period for this company to go from current earnings today to $3 million in earnings, I'm going
Right.
to sell it for 20 PE, and I'm going to collect $60 million.
Right.
I'm looking at 10 years out for that to happen,
Okay.
which is 2 5-year periods.
Okay. 2 5-year periods.
2 5-year periods means whatever I pay today, like say I started with $1, 5 years from now, I would have $2. And 10 years from now,
5 years from now, I'd have $2. Okay, so he wants to sell it in 10 years for $60 million. Okay.
I would have doubled it again.
Oh, I see what I mean. Okay, so two periods of 5 years. Okay.
To $4. So now I can see that I've got a relationship between the amount of money I'll have in 4 years at 15% a year, doubling twice,
Right.
the amount of money I'll
$4.
have in 10 years if I start with a certain amount of money today. In fact, if I start with $1 today and I double it twice at 15% a year, I'll have $4.
Right.
Yes.
Good. Now,
Okay, so how do I write this down so I can understand this? Okay. In 10 years.
the 10% growth rate based on getting to that value of 60 million in 10
Then-
years. I would be willing, as a regular investor, I would be willing to say
15%.
that that company is worth $15 million today. That's a fair price.
Okay.
Okay, so there we go. That's how we got to it. Now, that's a price that makes
She
sense.
did not understand.
but
I
need
I feel like her okay was my okay when I had to go back and like re-listen to all of that.
margin of safety, because I could be wrong about this 10% growth rate.
Right.
There's things I could be wrong about.
Right.
So I
There
want.
were a lot of steps in that calculation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere people can go to follow?
She's like, is
Yeah,
there
If
somewhere?
you get over to our website, roll1investing.com, that's where we do those calculations over on the valuation page.
Okay.
You just register, go over and use it, and check it out.
And that
Okay.
shows each step.
I'm gonna say check out. I'm gonna make a little note. Check out valuation page at rule1.com.
Shows each step.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Shows each step of the way.
She's like,
and
good. I
calculates it
need
for
to
you.
see that.
Now, this is the simple that Charlie was talking about. This is simple. These are really simple ideas. But I understand that for a lot of people and a lot of our listeners right now are a little bit glazing over when this hits you the first time. So
Yeah.
this may be a
That's
podcast
why you
you
have
have to listen to for a couple of times.
Yeah,
to really let
exactly.
it sink in. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and we would probably talk about it, several times.
Yeah, we'll definitely go into this more.
Yes.
But let me continue where we would end up with this whole deal. So first off, we've taken a minimum acceptable rate of return, and we've taken the value of the business at $60 million, and we've come up with a value today of $15 million.
Right.
Awesome. That's what we call sticker price. That's what's probably the retail value of the business, the intrinsic value of the business, the what's it's worth number. If you ask, what's my business worth? Somebody's going to come back and tell you ballpark $15 million today,
Right.
based on what you've told me about your growth rate and amount
Okay,
you're earning.
I
Okay,
get that.
about $15 million today. So if the market was being reasonable about this, it would sell this thing all day long at $15 million.
But it's not
today.
going to be reasonable.
But I don't want to buy it at a reasonable market. I want to buy it when it's on sale. If it's
Right.
not on sale at $15 million, that's just a regular good sticker price.
That's a good sticker
On
price.
sale
Got
to
it.
me and Charlie and Warren and all these guys means about 50% off of that would be about right.
15%.
So I want to pay something like $7 to $8 million for that business.
Is that the private business rate?
That's the private business rate.
We want
Yeah. That's
to
a
buy
really that's think about this. We said that if you're making $1 million a year
10 to 15%
as a private business, you would sell for
off.
somewhere between 5 and 12 times
So
those earnings.
we
Depending on
want
your growth, depending on how secure it was. And you can see here
Okay.
that I've come in with 7 to 8 million on that $1 million of earnings.
7
right there in
to
that 7 to
8
$8 million
mil.
range.
Exactly.
Whoa, is that cool or what? So that really worked out rather nicely, didn't it? So now we can see that I'm getting this at a private equity price, which is a really good price, but it's a public company. So why in the world would a public company sell themselves to me for a private equity price? Why would that ever
Right.
happen? Why would these fund managers who own this company ever unload it at such a cheap price if it's obviously worth $15 million? Why would they do that?
Right.
That is going to be the subject of another discussion, and we've already kind of gone into that a little bit in terms of fear and greed.
And another thing is like this is talking about like the whole company, right? If you want to figure out like what the stock price is, you would take this number and you would divide it by the amount of stocks that they have, and then you would know how much one stock would be worth.
There for you to know you're getting a deal. So we're going to go into that down the road here a little bit. For right now, the main thing I want you to get is that there's a very rational process here involving the earnings of the business, the growth rate of the business, the value of the business in 10 years where we're going
Right.
to sell it, and what we need to have as a reasonable price. And then we're going to go for a margin of safety on that reasonable price.
Makes sense.
That's what we just went through.
Yeah, we went through that very quickly.
We did, and I took
Wanna
all the
do it again?
notes, and I
No.
kind of
Want to
understood it
stop?
pretty well.
Rewind?
I feel like I'm
but
getting better
seriously,
and
I
better.
think it's something that's easy for you to go through quickly, and I think that we should
What?
talk about it much more.
Charlie said it's simple.
Right.
It's
It is
simple.
simple.
See how simple this is, you guys? Nothing
See
to
how
it.
simple
So
it
This is
is?
why we chuckle every time we listen to Charlie talk about how simple it is. What would you talk about the rest of the semester? Indeed. Well, you would talk about this. How exactly do you figure out that this is a wonderful business? And how exactly do you figure out what the value is or the sticker price is? And then what your margin of safety should be? That's going to be the subject of several more of our discussions, I'm quite sure.
Well, I think that's the crux of everything. I think you just said it.
Yeah.
And that uncertainty that comes with those numbers and knowing whether or not it has an adequate, durable competitive advantage, those are the things that create the fear.
Right.
You don't really know if you have enough information.
And that's why you have to
numbers are
learn.
And I am promising you right now, I'm going to show you a way where you can know, I'm going to put in a little phrase, you can know you almost for sure have enough information.
Cool.
Okay, far above what your current level of skill set is in terms of investing. Let's assume that you don't have any skill set of investing. You don't do investing. You don't know anybody that does investing like this for sure. How would you know? How would you get comfortable that the work that you had done had actually given you a really wonderful company with a real sticker price, and you know it's on sale? How would you know that? I'm going to go through that too. Definitely, we'll talk about that, but not this time.
But not this time.
This time we're done, and it's time to go play.
Yeah. That was really good. I really liked it. Okay. Toolbox. Is that what we want? Don't think so. I think we want resources. Investment calculator. Evaluation page. Wow, they have all the spreadsheets and stuff here. That's really nice. I'll have to look for it. We'll have to find it. But anyways, guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon down below, and leave a comment. What do you guys think about this math? Were you able to follow along? Are you guys kind of understanding the podcast? Are you enjoying it? Is there another podcast you guys would like to listen to and comment on with me? And until next time, guys. Bye.